It's finally here, my review of episode 3 of the latest Pokemon anime series. Is Koharu still good? Is Go any better? Let's talk about it. Hello everybody, it's me DeWarioFreak, and welcome back to Pokéviews, the show where I sit down and talk about the Pokemon anime with you lovely people listening. Today we're talking about episode 3 of the new series, and I'm pretty excited to give you guys my thoughts. So the episode begins with Ash and Go sleeping. I found it sorta weird that the previous episode also began with the character sleeping. I doubt that it's gonna become a theme in this series, but still something I noticed. Probably just the easiest thing to write, I guess. Regardless, the episode continues and we see Mr. Mime come in and wake up the boys. We see him perform a mini skit of sorts where he's cleaning, vacuums up their blankets and whatnot, like a real mime. Don't hold me by this, but I'm almost 90% certain this is gonna be pretty much the sum of his role in this series. Perhaps one or two special episodes aside. The episode continues and we see Ash and Go having breakfast. Koharu and her father show up and Koharu heads off to Pokemon school. This is the first disappointment to talk about, as Koharu just disappears and is gone for almost the entire episode, only returning at the end to call Ash and Go creepy? I had very positive feelings about Koharu from the last episode, but now I'm not so sure anymore. I'm a bit confused as to why she basically refuses to interact with Ash. I guess I shouldn't say anything for sure though, since the series still has a lot to unfold, so we'll just have to see. Another interesting element the show explores briefly is when we see Professor Sakuragi insert Rotoms into Ash and Go's phones, making them living Pokedexes, not unlike Rotom decks in the Sun Moon series. But here lies another weird problem. In the Sun Moon series, Rotom being alive was a very well used element. He'd give information, advice, interact, and often even be a point of humor or story. Basically, he was a full-fledged part of the gang, and honestly I loved it. But here in the new series, Ash and Go literally stuff these guys in their pockets and don't bother pulling them out unless they need to identify a Pokemon. As someone who really loved Rotom decks, I can only see this as wasted potential. I would totally be fine if Rotom decks had just come along with Ash. At this point, the episode cuts to Team Rocket video chatting with Giovanni. In the usual Pokemon fashion, it starts with the goofy trio being ordered to catch rare Pokemon and that they'll get a secret weapon. I love Team Rocket a lot, but not gonna lie, these introduction segments are pretty bullshit most of the time. In like 5 episodes, they'll just be back to their regular routine and all this hype from Giovanni will fade and maybe be referenced once or twice and that's it. That's just the way it works in this series, I guess. I really wish they'd go back to the more grand scheme type of Team Rocket that was used in the early stages of the black and white anime back in the day. Although that wasn't executed perfectly, it still would feel a lot fresher than this. I don't want to sound like a hater towards Team Rocket here. I genuinely enjoy what they add to the show, but I admit more development would just overall be better. Anyways, sent on their first mission of investigating mysterious hordes of Ivysaur that have appeared and are causing trouble for the city, Ash and Go bump into Officer Jenny. I really love how they kept her original Kanto design intact, but modernized it at the same time. It was a nice touch overall. She warns the boys about Team Rocket being in the area, and Go mentions he's read about them online. He even questions the idea of a talking Meowth. I loved this moment. It really did some good world building and answered the question if Team Rocket is still well known by the public to this day. Just an overall nice touch. The two then find an Ivysaur that's bashing its head into a wall. I'm not even kidding. Ash decides to help it. This leads to the first moment of tension between Ash and Go in the series. Basically, Go has the whole idea of it needs to grow on its own, while Ash is more of the I'll help anyone I can mentality. It ends up with them having a fight that is carried on through most of the episode. It's here that I think one of the biggest fundamental flaws of Go really comes out, and that is how to differentiate him from Ash without conflict. If they're not fighting, he's basically Ash 2.0, so they need to create tension to balance out story. The problem is, I could see this getting really old quickly. I'm aware that previous companions also disagreed with Ash, but imagine if Misty or Serena had straight up tantrums and weren't on speaking terms in like every episode. Suddenly a fun show becomes a long soap opera and it can really kill the mood. I just want to remind you, we're only on the 3rd episode and this is happening, so it might get worse from here, but we'll have to see. Ash and Go then track the Ivysaur to a gym that's under construction, and they even give us a cool sequence of them basking in the sun. That's when Team Rocket arrives right on schedule. They recite their new motto, which is incredibly lit by the way, and then proceed to catch all the Ivysaur and Bulbasaur. To do so, a Pelipper literally drops them a care package with a Pokeball vending machine, into which they insert Meowth and then get 2 random Pokemon. That's kind of where they lost me, to be honest. I know Team Rocket has traditionally been goofy and comedic, but this idea just felt kinda flat out dumb. On top of that, the whole gotcha style team building is clearly to allow them to highlight tons of Pokemon in upcoming episodes. It almost feels like Team Rocket may not even have fixed Pokemon this time around. Why should they when they can have a Tyranitar and a Gyarados, or a Dragonite and a Steelix, or some other cool unpredictable combination? Placing my bet right now, in one episode they're gonna get 2 random Pokemon that seem weird and don't go together. There seems to be an underlying theme I'm seeing with this series, and that's the focus of trying to highlight Pokemon of the day. It seems every episode has to bring at least 4 or 5 into focus. I know Pokemon has always been about promoting the creatures of its own series, but the way they're doing it right now feels so throwaway. In previous iterations of the anime, they would make meaningful stories for each Pokemon, trainers with backstory, or give Ash and friends a real dilemma to solve. This series is trying to get by on raid battles, random legendaries appearing, or Team Rocket RNG, and it all ends up feeling rather soulless. I really hope I've got a wrong read here, because if not, that would be a major factor in me disliking the series moving forward. Anyways, with the help of Ivysaur, Ash and Go defeat Team Rocket, who are blasting off again, thank God. They rescue the Bulbasaurs and Ivies, and then they all evolve. Having saved the day, the pair returns to the lab where they report their findings. Go makes up with Ash in the whole, "oh, we were friends all along" cliche, but I honestly didn't mind this. As long as these fights don't become a reoccurring issue, I think it'll be okay, although we still have yet to see what will make Go different from Ash in the long run. Koharu shows up at the last second and literally calls Ash and Go creepy. Like, I know I said from the previous video I like the idea of a tsundere in the series, but as it stands right now, she's not having any major interaction with Ash, which is kinda the point of having a character like her be introduced in the first place. I know the series is still young, and she seems to have more character when she's alone, so I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and wait. Regardless, my overall thoughts on this episode are about a 6.5 out of 10 at best. It's got some of the sauce to be a good Pokemon series, but too many elements are starting to feel throwaway, which is something that really reduces my interest. But we're only 3 episodes in, so maybe things will improve, we'll see. I'm optimistic about the future of this series, and the first 2 episodes have actually been okay, but this is a bit of a setback, not gonna lie. But that's gonna do it for today's episode of Pokéviews. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you all again soon. Be sure to leave comments of anything you'd like to see me do in this series. That's all for now though. This is DeWarioFreak signing off. Have a great day.